All right, everybody. All right, everybody. It is Wednesday night, and I'm not going to say, and you know what that means. Rest in peace there, Brody Lee. Rest in peace, everybody who's joining in after a time watching Dynamite over on TNT or TSN here in Canada. I would like to this time say, welcome, welcome, welcome. Where am I? Am I here? I'm over there. That is crazy. Hang on a second, everybody. Where did I go? Oh, I love technology. I thought I had this all figured out. There! Hi, everybody. Sorry about that. That was exciting. Oh, my goodness. It's only my 20th episode, and I'm trying to figure things out on this end, and it is just not going as smoothly as I would like. Everybody, welcome to episode 20 of Outlaw Radio. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for giving me your time, either live at this moment here, 10 p.m. Central Time on a Wednesday night, or just in general, whether it's here on YouTube, following along afterwards on the replay, or, checking it out on other forums here. I'm certainly not streaming to TikTok while I'm doing this over there. Anyways, hi, everybody. Welcome, 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 welcome to Outlaw Radio. I am, of course, the Outlaw Adam Knight. I've been professional wrestling since 1995, based out of Central Canada, primarily Winnipeg. I've had the pleasure and privilege to wrestle across all over Western Canada into British Columbia. People out east past Thunder Bay don't seem to be too interested in me, but that's how it goes. I have wrestled in through the States, worked in the tri-state area, had a wonderful career, had a great time working with a whole lot of different people in Japan, in the States, in Canada, and people from all around the world. And I am a blessed, and lucky performer. And I don't discount that at all. I'm also very busy apparently right now. I'm a very, very busy grappler at this moment in time, trying to make the most of life as an aging grappler with a lot of gray in his hair these days. A little bit more gray in the salt and pepper than I used to be, but that is okay. So thank you all for being here. I really do appreciate all of you for coming. In addition to being, a professional wrestler, I, of course, am also an author, a self-published author. If you find the links in the description right now, you will find that I've got a lovely bunch of series of books. There we are right now. Hey, I got the tech to work this time. These are my main books in an urban fantasy series called Overdrive. They're all based in Winnipeg, of course, because they're, I'm Canadian in that regard. I want to, plug and promote the things that I'm doing in my hometown as well as everything else. They revolve around a nightclub bouncer who develops some special abilities in the dead of night one night and finds himself stuck in the underbelly of the city. And there's an underbelly in every city, and he is compelled to do the right thing, even though he doesn't want to. And I mean, that's like the source of every pretty much good, sword and sorcery fantasy you can ever come up with, and that's okay. Welcome everyone for being here. Happy to have you all in at this time. Those are the books. Please go check them out. They are available on Amazon.com right now, or Amazon.ca, or any of your Amazon products. They are available anywhere books are sold on Amazon. Laser Bolt, thank you very much. Thank you for saying that, Laser. We'll talk about that in just a minute. Thank you for being here, my friend. That's very, very nice of you. And of course, in addition to my books, of course, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com or Great White North Products.ca. Both links for those are in my description as well. If you're interested in repping some Outlaw merchandise, of course, right now, some that would be this one is currently my favorite. Obviously, I'm a bit of a Star Wars nerd here, so Lucasfilm, piss off, don't get on me for this one. But of course, it's the Outlaw Adam Knight Rides Again t-shirt in honor of my 30th year of being in the business, and of course, my very regular Canadian-made Outlaw Adam Knight, established in 1995 shirt. These are both available at all of my links, or at any personal live event you might be able to see me at. Which, again, speaking of, we should talk a little bit about the live events I got coming up. Again, primarily, my home company right now is Blaze Pro Wrestling, based out of Winnipeg. My next events, for sure, with Blaze Pro Wrestling will be, and I should have got the banner for that one. Crap. At the end of April 24th in Winnipeg, Blaze Pro Wrestling will be presenting Anarchy in April 2. Lots of great matches still to be announced. I will be defending the Canadian Heavyweight Championship, because, of course, I am best goddamn heavyweight in all of Canada. I can't seem to talk today. I don't know why I'm a little flustered. I'm having a little bit of a flustering moment here, and that's a little odd for me. I'm usually a little bit better about being prepared for this one, but that's okay. That is okay. Get your tickets for that one. Also, of course, May 1st and May 2nd, I will be competing in Saskatchewan for Best Entertainment Wrestling, where both nights I will be taking on some of Jacques Rougeau's, I don't know if they're both his students, but one of them certainly is. May the 1st, I will be competing in the main event against Black Dynamite Jerry, my prophet, a very, very fit young man who's said some very nasty things about my beer gut. So we're going to have some words about that one, young man. And of course, the next night I'll be taking on the giant Orion, who is 7 feet and 300 pounds of man. And I tell you right now, that's going to be one that nobody's going to want to miss. So I will make sure to get those going. So those are upcoming events, things that Vulcan Nerd, Darth Outlaw. You like that, eh? That's a good one. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the guys joining in the live chat here on YouTube. I really appreciate you, Laser and Vulcan Nerd. That's really cool of you. Everybody that's over here on the other side of the stream, that's all good. Trying to get me to say 6, 7. I don't know what's up with that. Kids these days, I swear. Anyways, the purpose of tonight's chat, seeing as how I was having a good time the last couple of weeks with my Monday upload that I do on YouTube, my From the Vault segment, if you will, which I know isn't the most original title, but it is what I'm doing. Every Monday, I go through my collection of personal matches, personal highlights. Of course, I've got them all on VHS, and these are 2 of about 80. So I'm trying to get up to speed and get as many of them digitized as I can, the ones that seem to be worth going over, or hopefully just the ones that have decent audio. I felt really bad for the one I uploaded of myself and Robbie Royce about 3 weeks ago because I couldn't get the audio to transfer, and there was nothing I could do. But it was too good of a match and one of mine for a number of reasons. So anyways, getting that out was an important one for me, and I'm glad it's up, even though I had to lay a bet of, unlicensed music underneath it. Anyways, that's fine. But as Laserbolt has said here in the chat, he applauded my match with Brian Jewell that I uploaded this last Monday. And that was a big one for me for a number of reasons. And it made me realize why I want to be doing this. I am doing this episode of Outlaw Rage Night to talk about some underappreciated, undersung wrestlers, whether they're the ones that I've met in my life, ones that I cared about over the course of over my career as a fan and my time watching. Everybody has their favorites that were big stars, whether it's the Roman Reigns or the Cody Rhodes of today, or the Rocks, the Steve Austins, or the Ric Flairs, the Stings, the Great Mutas. We all have our big favorites who are big stars. And the ladies too, of course. Trish Stratus, Lita, Fabulous Moolah, Mae Young. They were really big stars back in the day, I promise you. Not just, where they were at the end of their run there. But we all had our favorites who don't always get the appreciation they deserve. So I've got a couple here I'd like to talk about. 2 that I know very well, that I got a chance to perform with a lot. Junkyard Dog was your guy. He was a big star all the way through the Midwest and the Memphis area, and he had a decent run on top, not on top, but in like upper mid card for WF as well. That's a great pick, Laserbolt. That's a great pick. Oh my goodness, so many weirdos on the TikTok stream. Anyway, I'm going to ignore them for a minute. What I've got to talk about today are a couple of my favorites that I don't think get mentioned a lot. And I'm going to start with the one that you can check out the match right now. Since you're on YouTube already anyway, go to From the Vault from this last Monday. Please check out a 9-minute match from 1999 that I had with a man who I have a ton of respect for, Mr. Brian Jewell. Brian Jewell, I hope you all can see this image. Brian Jewell was around, obviously, before I broke in. He broke in, I do believe, in the mid-'80s, had a very decent run for a long time, obviously through Central Canada, and all the way up and down to St. Louis, working a lot of the outlaw territories back in the day. And that's not outlaw like this. That's just what they referred to at the time. Worked for a lot of different people. Worked for the territories all the way up and down to St. Louis again, like I said, which is a hotbed of wrestling for quite a long time. Whenever the major leagues would come through Winnipeg, Brian was on every one of those tapings. There's a whole list you can find online of him, working with the big names of the day. He's got a match with The Undertaker or on Superstars. He's worked with Tatanka. He's worked with a whole bunch of the big names. But I do know one of his claims to fame that he always loved telling the story of is the time he got to have a 9 or 10 minute match with Ric Flair somewhere in St. Louis in the Kansas City area. And so that was a big deal for him. Brian Jewell, when I broke into wrestling in 1995, was at that time the scariest man I ever knew in my entire life. I was intimidated. I was afeared. And And I should have been. This was a man who had spent many, many years honing his craft at a time when it was rough, and it was a rough, rough time. And to Brian's credit, he's turned into a real sweetheart, and he was a sweetheart at the time as well, but harder for me to see as a skinny, fat 18-year-old kid breaking into the wrestling business who probably didn't deserve to have the respect that I was hoping for. But eventually I learned to earn. I always credit Brian Jewell with this, and I've mentioned this before, I'll mention this again. I was about 5 or 6 months into wrestling training when one day I got called down to our event center where I'd been training every Wednesday for our weekly shows, about 6 hours before showtime, which is odd. Usually we just trained a couple hours beforehand, but Brian was there, and he was the only guy there. And he had decided to take time out of his day. He'd taken an afternoon off of work. Yeah, great mullet, I know. Brian had taken time off of work at his day job to help me out because for some reason he saw something in me that maybe I didn't see in myself yet. And that afternoon is one of my favorite and least favorite memories of all time. Hey there, baby hawk. It was one of my favorite and least favorite of all time because he beat my ass for hours, getting me to run, getting me to hit the canvas, smacking me around when I deserved it, throwing me around when I deserved it. Yeah, Brian and that fantastic mullet laser bolt, he kicked the bejesus out of me in a very, honestly, this sounds ridiculous to say, in a very productive and safe manner, and got me to the point where I didn't leave that day being good, but I left that day knowing what it took to be good. And without this man right here, Brian Jewell, I don't make it across Canada. I don't make it through the United States. I don't get to have matches with stars on TV. I don't get to go one-on-one with Samoa Joe. I don't get to go to Japan. I don't get to be the man that I am today without the sacrifice that Brian Jewell made for me along the way. So if you get a chance, please go check out my match that I had with him on Monday. It's about 8 or 9 minutes long. It's not very long at all. I was a skinny fat dork. I was about 4 years into my career, and we put on a fine little match for about 40 or 50 people at the infamous Chalmers Community Center. So, Brian, thank you for everything. You've always been good to me, and I look forward to having a non-alcoholic beer with you in the near future if I see you at events. Yeah, Brian was a good guy. And definitely one who never got his flowers. Not in the true sense. He worked with so many guys back in the late 90s into the early 2000s before he stepped away. And so every time I get to see him on shows now, it means a lot. It means a lot. So next one I'm going to mention, I did have a match I put up with him a couple weeks ago as well. We did a tag match. But more than that, this man right here helped not just me, but many, many others. This man right here is the Canadian icon, Chi Cruz. Cheech, as we lovingly refer to him, second generation technically. His uncle had been a wrestler in the 70s. So when Cheech broke in, I don't remember who he trained under. Probably I don't remember off the top of my head, but Chi Cruz was an absolute warrior. He was a stud, and he was way ahead of his time. You know, a legit heavyweight. Rocking in around 6 feet, 6'1", easily 230, 240 when I met him. When I was a kid, before I broke into wrestling, he was all over the legendary Tony Candella's WFWA West Floor Wrestling Alliance television. That was on in Winnipeg at the time. So every Saturday at 5, every Saturday on Channel 5 in Winnipeg, I would watch Cheech take on Mr. Freeze and a bunch of other guys I hadn't seen before. And that's okay. Chi Cruz has had an incredible run, wrestling all across the Midwest, wrestling through the Maritimes, had a good stint down in the Memphis territory as Mr. Bobby Bolton, where he got to wrestle with Jerry Lawler and Lawler's Boys and the old PG-13 crew. What Cheech, I don't think, gets enough credit for is the fact that he was part of the generation of guys that came through Winnipeg all the time. The guys that were in that he was part of the same group of guys along with Lance Storm, Chris Jericho, Edge, Christian, Joe Legend, Dr. Luther. All of these guys would come in and out of Winnipeg, travel from other parts of the country to work for Tony Candelo, to go on the Northern Roads, to do some of the rural shows at the time. And Cheech, who had I don't know if he had a little bit more seniority than them or not, but he was right there with them. He was right there with them. And of course, Don Callis. God, if I don't mention Don Callis, then The Natural, I'm going to hear about it at some point in time. Someone's going to mention that I didn't drop his name. He's going, that kid. I tell you, disrespecting me. Anyways, that's my Bulldog Bob Brown done by Don Callis. Anyways, about 5 people listening to this might get that reference. My respect for Chi Cruz knows no bounds. Locally in Winnipeg, he was the guy to aspire to be. Everyone wanted to be the next Chi Cruz. The guy was on the cusp of getting out of this territory and making a real name for himself and making some real money. I'm sure he had a run in Germany. I know he made it to Japan at least once or twice with Joey Legend. If Brian Jewell got me over the hump to make me feel like I knew how to be good, the program I worked with Chi Cruz in about 2003 and 2004 that culminated in a very bloody chain match that you can find on YouTube. It's not actually on my channel. It's on my old channel, but it's there. It's got about 1,500 views on it, so I don't want to move it. That chain match was when, again, like I said, if I knew that by the time I was done training with Brian Jewell that I was good, I had the potential to be good, I knew that when I finished that match with Chi Cruz that I had the potential to be great because he made me feel great, even though we kicked the hell out of each other. It was really, really good. Harry, thank you for joining the chat, along with Laser Bolt and Vulcan Nerd. Thank you all for being here. Hope you're all doing okay today. Just acknowledging those guys here, acknowledging you guys over there as well. So Chi Cruz, incredible talent, incredible skill in the ring, incredible match psychology. He could do it all. He could brawl, he could grapple, he could, exchange hold for hold. He could work the crowd, he'd get everybody going. And unfortunately, it just never happened for him. And that's a damn shame. It's a damn shame because not everybody gets what they deserve. And we know that in life. And that's okay. But I love this man to death. And he was a star, man. Laserbolt, you're right. He was a star. One of the first shows I went to after I got into wrestling, where I knew Cheech, I think about this card now, was a show they did at the University of Manitoba for like Rush Week. So there's like 700 drunk university students at the University of Manitoba campus. Chi Cruz wrestled Rhino in the opener. Christian was under a mask wrestling a bunch of other guys I didn't know. And of course, the main event was the Natural Don Callis. Yes, that Don Callis against, oh God, was he wrestlers? He was against Sexton Hardcastle, who's better known as Edge or Adam Copeland. When I think about that show now and where everybody went after that, it is bonkers to think about. My goodness indeed. Oh man, thank you, Cheech, for everything. You were a big help to me. So yeah, those are 2 guys who were very influential to my career. Obviously, there's dozens more I can mention. I mentioned Robbie Royce earlier, who he and I weren't always on the best of terms, but I love the man like a brother, and that's what brothers do. They fight sometimes. He was very influential, helpful for me as well. Obviously, I've got to mention Vance Nevada, who was officially the person who broke me in and helped me out and showed me the ropes. And if I don't mention Steve Stryker in this moment as the 3rd guy of that triumvirate, he's going to leave 9 voicemails on my phone calling me a stiff prick and a potato farmer and all that other stuff. So my props and respects to you guys. Thank you very much for everybody who came along the way. Those people who helped get me going at a time when we all needed a little bit of support. Make fun of me. It's my daughters. I don't care. Oh, I needed a juice break. But those are the guys locally that I interacted with that were very influential and very helpful, and that I don't think got their flowers. But there were other ones that I really, really enjoyed watching that I don't think get enough love. So I'm going to mention I'm going to bring up 2 other options, examples right now. To all of you here on YouTube and to all of you people that are over there. To all you people right now, I am going to mention a couple of different groups. One group, anyway, I would like to introduce you to is these fine ladies. If you know who these ladies are, then you are a student of the game. And that is fantastic. These ladies are collectively known as the Jumping Bomb Angels. I'm going to read this directly from their Wikipedia because I want to make sure I get it right. The Jumping Bomb Angels were a female Japanese professional wrestling tag team consisting of Norio Tatino and Itsuki Yamazaki. They competed primarily for All Japan Women's in Japan, obviously, and the WWF in North America. These ladies, you don't get wrestling breaking out, especially tag teams, especially women's wrestling in the modern era without the Jumping Bomb Angels. I remember first seeing these ladies on old WWF tapes. God, it must have been like mid 80s, and I hadn't seen anything like it. Obviously, back then, most of the wrestling stars, high flying stuff consisted of mostly like, throwing a drop kick or a flying clothesline or something like that. These ladies were outstanding. And they would push the glamour girls to their limit, and they would push everybody. They pushed everybody in the WWF to a level that nobody in the WWF was wrestling at that time. So far ahead of the curve, diving drop kicks into the ring, out of the ring. They were doing dives back before anybody else was doing it in North America. Power bombs like crazy, high risk maneuvers, just death-defying, hard-hitting work. Pure athletes. Pure athletes. Again, the major high-flying, high-impact stars of today do not exist without the work of the Jumping Bomb Angels and the exposure that they brought to that style to North America. Remember, in Japan, they were doing stuff like that all the time, and that was, I wouldn't say commonplace, but at least it was expected, especially the All Japan Women's. Man, All Japan Women's from the 80s into the 90s carried Japan in many ways that nobody likes to talk about. Between these ladies and Manami Toyota, and of course, Bull Nakano, and all of the Gaijin ladies who came through to work with them, they developed a style that was frankly unmatched, and it is exceptional. So to say, thank you so much, ladies. The work you did for the wrestling industry. You were obviously multiple time champions. You had a lovely career, but I do not believe you've ever really gotten the flowers for it. Now, yes, of course, a couple of years ago, WWF did put them in their the WWE Hall of Fame, excuse me. But that's not the same thing. To me, these ladies should be, top flight household names for anybody who loves pro wrestling. So thank you, ladies. You have my ultimate respect, my ultimate appreciation, and my ultimate love. I might finish this show and go watch some of their stuff on YouTube after this. God bless. So that's one group, one tag team that I don't think gets enough love. And that's I'm dry mouth today. I'm sorry, everybody. They were fantastic, the Jumping Bomb Angels. The influence they had on so many different people, men, women, children, was outstanding. I don't even know what else I can say about them. They were absolutely terrific. So my last option for today, and of course, if there's anybody you'd like to mention, please do so in the chat right here or over here. If there's anyone that you think is an underappreciated, unsung hero of pro wrestling, please let me know. Please let me know, because I'd love to talk. I'd love to talk with you about them. The man I'm thinking of right here, I had forgotten he's a Canadian. Don Matsumoto. That is a name I've not heard in a long time. And I'll have to do some research on it, because I'm not sure I know that much about her. And yes, quite a bit of attention to Japan. You're right. Regionally, Vulcan Nerd, that's usually how it goes. Especially back in the day, before the internet made it possible for us to learn about people all over the world, you would have regional successes everywhere that were like big stars locally, which is how the territories thrived back in the day. For example, you mentioned earlier, our Laserbolt did Junkyard Dog. He was such a big star, in Mid-South and for the USWA and for that whole region. It was USWA, wasn't it? I can't remember who was booking that. Anyways, such a big star that he was able to draw a lot of fans in there, but nationally, internationally, not as well known. Oh my goodness. I will have to check out that documentary. Thank you, Vulcan. I'll go find that. I will go find that out. Dump Matsumoto. Nice. I mean, there's the reason why, they're stars, like I mentioned, like regional stars, they're the Fabulous Kangaroos out of Australia. They were a tag team with their kangaroo kick that WGF, makes fun of right now. You got Johnny Saint, Rollerball Rocco, who are really big parts of the world of sports system back in the United Kingdom way back in the day. Back in the day, like the 80s and the 90s, those guys were still big stars. Big Daddy Splash out in the UK. My goodness. Otto Vaughn's in Germany with his WXW promotion. That guys would clamor to be on the 16 karat gold tournament every year. But those are the guys in the industry. People outside of the industry didn't have the know-how. It's nothing you can do about it. It is as it is. Anyways, the last person I want to mention here, I had forgotten, was a fellow Canadian. I'm a little embarrassed by that, but I have to shout out a guy that I could not get enough of when I started seeing him on TV, and I had to find out more about him. I'm talking, of course, of rugged Ronnie Garvin, who I'm sure is not somebody that anybody thought I would be thinking of. I first remember seeing Ron Garvin come on TV in WWF, coming out there with his signature towel. He was so old school. He had no entrance music, no nothing, just big smiles, coming on down to the ring, throwing hands. My God. Here, I'll give a little bit of his Wikipedia on him. Rugged Ronnie Garvin is, of course, a Canadian professional wrestler renowned for being a tough brawler in the NWA and the WWF during the 1980s. He does hold a 1987 NWA World Heavyweight title win over the Nature Boy Ric Flair. The man known as Hands of Stone competed in various territories before he had a memorable run in the WWF involving a feud with Greg Valentine. Now, I want to talk about that feud. I came to his run in the NWA where he feuded with Ric Flair and all those guys a little bit later. And I got into it because of his feud with Greg Valentine. Greg Valentine didn't set the world on fire for me. God bless you, Greg. I've met you since. You're a fine gentleman. And people have met at Cauliflower Alley with you have been great to me. But didn't set the world on fire for me. But the feud he had with rugged Ronnie Garvin was unlike anything else I watched in WWF at the time. In an era where the Hogans and the Warriors were big, jacked guys who were throwing punches that were missing by a mile, who were more worried about, being oiled up and flexing for the cameras, Ron Garvin and Greg Valentine just had some goddamn motherfucking wars. And I'm not talking about blood. I'm not talking about weapons. I'm talking just about hard-hitting, heavy-handed, full of chops, full of stiff forearms, full of big kicks, but not reckless stuff, just pure professional fighting, brawling prowess. God damn, I love that feud. And a feud that, but for all accounts, involved the dumbest thing you could ever imagine. A feud over their use of their finishing holds. Greg Valentine was a big fan of the figure four, but he always had the hammer jet. He always had that damn shin pad on, like a what was it? All it was looked like a slightly shinier, catcher's shin pad that he would wear. But he would turn it around so when he applied the figure four, it'd be even more dangerous, even more deadly. And that was the source of their feud, to the point that, of course, Rugged Ronnie, he had him get himself his own shin pad that he referred to as the Hammer Jammer. My God. It sounds silly. It is silly. I can't remember which pay-per-view they finally had their blow-up match at. It wasn't at a WrestleMania, unfortunately. But that probably worked in their favor because I bet you it was a Royal Rumble where they probably had 20, 25 minutes to really just blast the hell out of each other. And my God, I loved it. Loved it. Without Ronnie Garvin, you don't get the Garvin Stomp, which now Randy Orton still to this day uses, where he just picks a body apart and works his way along with a big stomp along the way. He popularized in North America before Sting, before Bret Hart, the reverse figure four, or whatever you want to call it, the Scorpion Deathlock, if you will. He was the first guy to use that in North America that I recall. Just a pure, absolutely outstanding white meat babyface who could hit like a truck and take a massive beating and just, kept on ticking. I have all kinds of respect for this man. I loved watching his work. I loved going back and watching his feud with Ric Flair for the NWA title. Their cage match was an absolute gem. I cannot thank this guy enough. Rugged Ronnie Garvin does not get enough love in the wrestling business from the modern audience, and that is a shame. But he's going to get it from me today. Thank you, Ronnie. All right, where are we at here? Well, 5-episode Netflix series based in there called The Queen of Villains. Oh, shit. Okay. I'll have to check that out. Thank you, Vulcan. That's dope as hell. All right, then. So what do we got? That's 30 minutes. Okay. Well, everybody, I want to thank you all for being here tonight. I know I'm just on YouTube. I was all set to pull the trigger and, not have to have the powered by StreamYard logo right up over here, which is a little frustrating, but that's okay. But plans changed at the last minute. That's fine. So here we are. I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I really do appreciate your support. In the comments below, if you're checking this out afterwards, please leave a note of who are some wrestlers that you think that we all should be talking a little bit more about. Don't have to be big stars, don't have to be stars at all, but I definitely think, we all need to have a moment to, give them their flowers and give them their respect. Because if we don't, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? The big stars of today get all the TV and all the internet exposure you can possibly ask for. The ones that need a little love are the ones that probably could use a little more help. So before I finish up here again, I want to thank everybody coming on out. I am the Outlaw Adam Knight. I've been a professional wrestler for 30 years. I'm also a self-published author. If you would be so kind as to take a look at the links down below. These are my books over on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca. They're available in Kindle format, paperback, and hardcover. The people who've purchased them all seem to love them. They get multiple 5-star reviews. So if you're into reading, you're into action adventure, please do check that out. Also, go to ProWrestlingTees.com or the Great White North page below if you're in Canada. Check out my merchandise. This is my classic Outlaw Adam Knight logo t-shirt, and of course the more Lucasfilm friendly one, don't tell, that I've got going on here. That is where we're at, and I appreciate all of you that have shown up. For the people that show up each and every week, you mean the world to me. I would probably keep on doing this whether you were here or not, but it's much more fun knowing you actually are here, because this would get boring if I did it all by myself. Anyways, I think we're going to wrap it up for this week. Thank you all for being here again. I am the Outlaw Adam Knight. I'll be back every Wednesday live. We're going to do another match from the vault on Monday, and I've got more stuff that I'm working on. Hopefully I'll have a Fitness Friday, and I'll have some more Dad blog stuff. But until then, thank you all for watching, and good night to you. Thank you.